I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Wednesday, September the 8th, brought to you in part by VitaFerm by Biozyme, the best mineral money can buy, with the patented Amaferm made right there in South St. Joe, Missouri. They've got a multitude of different products for different species, but as far as cattle go, whatever you're dealing with, if it's reproduction, they've got different minerals for replacement heifers, some for newborn calves there. If you've got cows that are calving, if you've got a backgrounding operation, they've got different minerals depending on whether you're grazing or feeding a commodity feed, and even in the feedlot. And they can help you out with any of those. Go to VitaFerm.com. The board flushes, and it was similar to what I expected when I talked to you the last visit. I thought that we'd get a little rise in the market immediately because of the news of the BSE cases in Brazil, and then would fade back. But I never figured that it would completely flush. We've seen your board higher as it started out the trading session to begin the week here in a holiday week after the Monday holiday. Tuesday opened up moderately higher, and then just flushed out. Just so much pressure on the board, lots of hedging pressure, continued managed money going short. And even though we're technically oversold, if you listen to your technical analysts, and we should be bouncing back a little bit, just no confidence in your cattle markets. Felt like they've been too high too long. But if you look at the squiggly lines on the chart, we should be bouncing back some, but we're not. We've had no fat cattle trade so far this week, and having the Monday holiday just kind of set us back a whole day. Normally we would start to see some trade being confirmed by Tuesday, but we didn't see anything so far this week confirmed. Now, I did hear of the family feeding operation that sells earlier in the week, selling at $129 delivered in Nebraska. That's a buck lower than what they traded last week. So I'm not saying the market's going to be a buck lower, but that's just kind of where we're at on one deal that wasn't confirmed, but what I'd heard from my sources. But let's look at your board. Like I said, it flushed on Tuesday to start the week out here. October live cattle futures down $1.05 at 123.75. Like I said, they all started the day out on a positive note with the news of the BS cases in Brazil, and hopefully us picking up some additional export demand, but likely not going to do that. If we do get anything out of the Brazil deal, it will be if they continue to halt shipments to China for more than 2 weeks. If it gets to be more than 2 weeks, we'll see something out of that. But they're thinking they're going to get back to business. A lot of the buyers and sellers of the Brazilian product are still conducting business, just assuming that they'll deliver it after they open things back up, because they don't expect it to be closed down very long. December live cattle down $1.37 at 129.55. So our next month out is no longer over 130. You go on your back months of your live cattle, and they were all down big from 62 cents to $1.55. Feeder cattle futures, September down $2.20, 156.27 to end the daily session. October down 242 at 160.05. You go on your back months of feeder cattle down 205 to down 240. It wasn't because your corn was higher. Of course, we're getting close to harvest, and corn is a mirage too as far as the board goes. But December contracts on your corn, Chicago Board of Trade futures down 13.25 cents a bushel at 510 3/4. If you look at your weighted average on last week's fat cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region, only 50,500 head, which was just a smidge more than the dismal 48,000 that they sold the previous week, and that compares to 68,100 the same week a year ago. But they finished up all the trade for last week. Your live sales steers and heifers range from 122 to 128. Weighted average on dressed steers 125.61, which was off just 13 cents a hundredweight. So basically steady there. Your dress trade was where we saw the losses, from 197 to 205 on the range. Your weighted average on dress steers was 201.79. That's down $2.66 from the previous week. So did see some losses there. You saw that nationwide we had 61,500 head of negotiated sales, 268,000 head of formula sales. And one thing of note there, our negotiated grid has gotten bigger, and they were really pushing that for a while, calling it bid the grid and things like that. But negotiated grid is bigger. Likely, I think we're just seeing more of it turned in from your packers, and they're trying to call that negotiated trade, the negotiated grid. And likely it could be some negotiation, but they're just turning it in that way. The thing that's good about negotiated trade is everybody knows what the bids are, and that's a way to try to work the market. So if you get a negotiated grid, there's not any negotiation going on in there. Guys aren't saying, well, you know, I'll see what will you give me, and we'll give you $2 dress plus all these kickers. No, I want 202 and all that. No, it's almost like just a grid where you just turn them in. There's no negotiation going on there for the most part, and just your packers are starting to turn more of those cattle in as negotiated grid on mandatory price reporting, trying to make it look like we have some negotiation going on, especially in the Southern Plains, to try to keep all these guys at bay that are trying to get mandated minimum requirements on negotiation. Well, I'm here to tell you, you know, if on that negotiated grid, where was all the negotiation going on? Where was that? Where were those price levels are? Where were the bids at? Where were we? Where was a guy that has a pen of cattle on feed and doesn't have a lot of connections? Where could he take advantage of that negotiated grid? Nowhere. It's just a offer, and you either take it or you don't. If it applied to the definitions, then your packers could turn that in as negotiated grid and make it look like we've got negotiated trade going on out here, and we really don't. But of the 61,500 head nationwide, 27% of those were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. But that negotiated grid, it's something you need to watch. They're just going to turn more and more of it in, and I don't have any faith in any auditors in USDA to go in there and say, well, where's the negotiation here? I don't see that. But they turned in 38,800 head of negotiated grids last week nationwide, and that's like twice as many as normal. So you know, that was a bunch. But let's look at your box beef cutout values. They were down again to start the week's trading here on Tuesday. 335.19 down $1.23. Your select was 301.90 down $2.23. But there was no net price distribution report like we've been getting every Tuesday. We normally get that on Tuesday. I guess that had something to do with the Labor Day holiday there, but been giving that to you on Tuesday and showing you how good the negotiated, the pure negotiated price was net compared to the other methods of selling cattle, but not able to give you that here on this Wednesday's visit. What else is going on? If you guys have cattle out there and you want some risk protection, you're not comfortable with taking a hedge spot on your futures market because it's so volatile and it's so dangerous in there, you can go in there and get you an LRP, livestock risk protection policy. We talked about several, but one of the true specialists there is Ag Defense Risk Management. They're out there in rural western Oklahoma. You can get a hold of them right there. They can help you out. They'll speak your language if you're interested, but you can get a hold of them at Ag Defense RM, which stands for riskmanagement.com. For you Feeder Flash gang members that live in the upper Midwest, if you're looking for an opportunity to come to one of my presentations, they're going to be having one close to Zumbrota, Minnesota, this Thursday evening at the Three Rivers Cattlemen's Association Fall Picnic. It's going to be at the Dorn Beef Farm there, close to Zumbrota. We're going to have a nice gathering there. I'm going to be speaking for an hour, a little more there, including questions and present some of the things, the issues that I feel are important to the industry. Have a nice gathering, a lot of fellowship there, and looking forward to going up into Minnesota. I worked up there at one point in my career for a full year there. It seemed like I spent 3 winters in Minnesota there in 1 year, but looking forward to going back up there and seeing some familiar country. How about your feeder cattle markets in your sale barns to start the week? We're kind of lost when we have a big Monday holiday like that because we don't have an Oklahoma City or a Joplin to kind of tell us what's going on. Of course, we had the big special at Russell, but they had such a nice offering there, and they had their customer appreciation barbecue and everything. And it was always, it's going to be higher than what their previous sales. So still kind of hard to tell. So we're just getting the first test of this week's market. Your real-time index on DV auction, based on the 800-pound steer up through the 12 states are reporting into Cattle Market Central, ended the day on Tuesday at 156.67. That was down about 79 cents. Now, are the yearling feeder cattle lower? No, we're just getting more and more of these bigger calves coming to market that are sneaking in there, and they're just going to pull down on your weighted averages as a whole. But outside about some of your bigger sales on Tuesday, Ozarks Regional Stockyard, West Plains, Missouri, had 2,300 head in the ring. They had another nearly 500 on their in-house video with DV auction, and the market was unevenly steady, both on calves, and they got really good AG type calves in there that guys like to purchase and warm up for wheat and things like that. They've got a little bit of continental touch to them where they really stretch out and do good. But pretty much everything unevenly steady there in West Plains, and they got a good market reported there. So I believe that quote, and so that's not nothing bad there to have a steady market in West Plains to start the week here on Tuesday. How about Beaver County Stockyards in Beaver, Oklahoma? They're the reigning Zach Tran Market of the Month right now. They're going to get some free swag and a sign and get some recognition for doing the good job that they do. They had more calves on offer than they've had for a long time in Beaver, Oklahoma there. About 2,400 head of feeders there. Awful good market. You can look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central. You can watch Beaver County Stockyards on dvauction.com every Tuesday. You're not going to get this market information anywhere else because they're not reported by any agency there. But look at some of your best tested weights, and you can kind of see the trends there, and you see that there's more calves coming in. That's pressuring your market on some weights. But 292 head of the 7-weight steers averaged 774 at 159.38. That was up a little over $3 compared to the 7 weights from last week. 230 head of the 8-weight feeder steers in Beaver averaged 837 at 157.58, and that was up a little over $1 compared to your 8-weight steer test just a week ago. How about Rezac Livestock Commission Company, St. Mary's, Kansas? Look at these loads and bigger of steers that I pulled out of Denny Rezac Livestock there, and man, those are some impressive quotes. I like the quotes there weighing well over 9, but the one that I want to talk about, which goes on about the coverage of the market that I want to touch on, is 73 head in there, weighed 828 pounds at 163.60. That's about $6 or $7 higher than what your index is on a flat 800 pounders, and those weighed nearly 830. Doing a hell of a job there at Rezac Livestock Commission. How about Knoxville Livestock Auction Center in Mascot, Tennessee? It's a market that doesn't always sell big strings of cattle, but they had one come through, and I usually pull the ones over 50 head because I feel like that's a really good test of the market. They had a big string in there that popped up on Cattle Market Central there on Tuesday, and it was 53 head 400-pound steer calves there bring $184.50, and congratulations to them to getting spotlighted on the feeder flash here. How about Unionville Livestock Market in Unionville, Missouri? That's north central Missouri there. Had several loads on offer there, but a stick-out deal of bigger backgrounded calves is what I liked. 72 head, weighed 651 pounds at $180. That'd be a stick-out sale. But the best quote that I saw anywhere to start the week on Tuesday, and your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come out of Huron Continental Marketing in Huron, South Dakota. 64 head, 971 pound steers bring $159.25. And that's your feeder flash for Wednesday.